A lot of us know what we should do, but in the moment, we choose what's easy and comfortable. Maybe if you're like me, you've watched 1,000 motivational YouTube videos and for some reason, you can't get yourself to take action. Sometimes I think it's even more difficult to watch these super successful YouTubers, millionaires, self-help gurus because they're just so much further ahead of us. And it feels so frustrating because it's like, how do you get there? What specific actions or ways of thinking actually get me there? Because I'm watching so many videos, I know what I should be doing, but why am I not? Our default behavior is always what's comfortable, instant gratification, but it's like, how do I break that pattern? And these small decisions, when we choose what's normal for our current selves, I think it's no big deal. We brush it off, we say, oh, we'll start next week, next month, next year. But these are the decisions that are slowly shaping our life and solidifying who we are. And it's not who we want to be. Over the last 3 months, I've been actively shifting this. I've actually been making those tough decisions, practicing self-discipline for the first time in my life, actually respecting myself and choosing what's best for me. And I've been asking myself a simple question. What would my future self want? What would my future self want me to do right now? What would future Haley do? What would make future Haley's life easier? And this doesn't necessarily make in the moment any easier, but it helps you to understand why you're doing it. So let's dive into a couple. So in that moment when we need to make a decision, often we're choosing what's comfortable and easy. We're choosing our current self. We're prioritizing our current needs over the goals of the future and therefore our future selves. But pretty much every time when we choose this ease or avoidance, this is directly conflicting with that future self. It's really our past self pulling us back and our future self just calling to us like, wait for me, remember me? And we're like, bye. This past self is so much stronger. The past self is the voice that lives in your brain and is just talking to you and bullying you for decades, maybe. And this comfort is what we choose over the life that we actually want because it takes effort and change, and we're not comfortable with that difference yet. Every time we make the decision in the moment to go with our past self and what makes him or her comfortable, we're abandoning the future self and life that we want. And our future self has to live with the consequences of what we didn't do, or what we ate, or what we avoided, or what we procrastinated. And that always ends up with this feeling of frustration and regret and shame. It's a negative spiral that keeps us trapped. So in these moments, you can literally think of it as like votes, as James Clear says in Atomic Habits. It's like you're casting votes for your future self or your past self, the one that you want to become. Every action is a vote. Maybe start thinking of it as like the devil and angel on your shoulders. It's like the devil of your past self telling you, oh, don't do that. We don't like that. It's uncomfortable. You're going to fail anyways. And then the future self saying, you can do it. You can do anything you want to do. But the thing is, she sounds delusional. You don't really believe her. You don't really think, oh, I can do anything I want to do, because you've had this devil on your shoulder forever telling you who you can be and what you can do. So you have to trust her in the beginning until you start proving it to yourself and proving it to your past self too, who slowly starts to let go. So some examples of these choices could be start the project you're avoiding, or procrastinate, or go to the gym, or stay in bed, or speak up, or stay quiet, take action, delay, post the YouTube video, scroll TikTok. Your future self always benefits from the harder choice, the one that makes you uncomfortable, the one that is outside of your comfort zone and feels scary. But the more you take those actions, the more you can prove it to yourself that you can become that person. But it takes a lot of pushing and a lot of dedication and continuing to keep going even when you don't see any results. This is the hardest part. This is where I am now. So when you find yourself in the decision-making moment, when you're laying in bed and you're thinking, I don't want to go to the gym. It's cold out there. It's warm in here. It would be so much easier to just go back to sleep. I have this struggle regularly. I'm not a morning person, or at least That's what I've labeled myself in the past. I would love to be a morning person. I can be a morning person, but it requires me to make these hard decisions. So lately, as I'm laying in bed thinking, I don't want to go to the gym, I really do ask myself, what would future Haley want? What would make future Haley's life easier? And it's always getting out of bed and going to the gym, building that habit, getting stronger, making this act of discipline right now just habit in the future. And that only happens through repeated action. And I will actually talk to myself. I have a video on this, how I validate that little Haley throwing a tantrum in my head and say, I know it sucks. Like, I want to stay in bed too, but, and then I explain why we need to do this for future Haley and how much better our life will be and how much we really do want this, even though it feels scary and uncertain now. You can apply this back and forth, asking these questions, the talking to yourself, in any situation, not just like big, giant ones that really intimidate you. Even small things like the snack you choose, or walking around the block, or any little micro habits, like thinking about actually when you make each decision, which one is that vote for that future self? Which one would make your future self's life easier? Which one is going to make you feel proud of yourself at the end of the day? And then at the end of the day, you should actively acknowledge those positive decisions, those votes for your future self. Write them down, say them out loud. What kid doesn't like to be congratulated and celebrated for their wins? That's what your inner you needs to hear. And then you find through asking yourself these questions and taking these small actions, instead of avoiding something uncomfortable, you follow through. And this later makes you feel proud, more confident, more in control, more you, the you that you want to become. This does not happen overnight. Believe me, like I said, I'm in the trenches of it right now. I've had months of what feels like zero progress. And I'm constantly reminding myself, that's not true. That's not true. That's not true. There's a devil on my shoulder saying, you're not making any progress. You should just give up. This is proof that you can't do it. And then there's like the little angel saying, don't listen to her. You can do it. And I'm like, shut up. Or at least that's how I've been feeling lately. But she's right. And I need to talk out loud, and I need to remind myself that consistency and continuing to do something, even when I don't see results, that's something that the old me would never do. So it's a clear sign that I need to keep going, because it's completely opposite of what I would do in the past. So remind yourself of this. And right now I'm asking myself, would future Haley want me to keep going? Of course. Would future Haley say, you're just around the corner of feeling a little bit better or seeing the first signs? Yeah, I'm sure. Would future Haley be so proud of me for continuing to stick with it, even when it feels like nothing is happening? Definitely. The only way that I'm going to get to her is if I keep going. So I have to. There's no other option, because I don't want to be that my whole life. I'm working on moving past that. So try to remember that your life really is shaped by just the decisions you make every single day. Your identity is just a collection of choices you make in the morning, afternoon, evening, day after day after day. Your default behaviors that turn into habits and turn into just who you are. No one big moment is going to make or break you. And remind yourself of that too. Even if you have an off day or you make a bad decision, you cast a bad vote, that is not the end of the world. Perfection is never the goal. Consistency is what your future self would want. Not intensity, not perfection, consistency and balance. This is what's going to get you there. And believe me, this is so difficult for me. My all or nothing mindset always tries to get the better of me. And I fight back. And thinking about your future self really helps you to act with more intention and clarity in what you want, and kind of see that future a bit more clearly, and that future you. You're not alone. This is really hard, but I believe in you, and I know that you can reach that future goal, that future self, and so can I. And let's do it together. So I hope you found this video helpful. I'm really passionate about topics like this. Thanks for watching. See you next time.